Hey guys, today's video is going to be a little bit different than my regular budget videos. Today's videos are going to be talking about savings and everything that you need to know about savings. I just first want to let you all know that this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I am just doing this based off what I know and what I'm doing for my own savings and hopefully wealth building. So I'm just gonna kind of go over 10 steps that I created and explain each of the steps. So I hope you guys can see this well. Sorry, I do video this on my vanity, and so all of my light bulbs are kind of mirroring my iPad. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get right into it. I did create this timeline, and it might be a little bit too small to see, but I'll review each item and explain everything. So this is my savings timeline. This is what I think I should do with my own money and my own experience. Yours could be different depending on what's important to you and so on and so forth. So for me, a savings timeline, the first thing you have to do is, if you have a job that offers a 401k match, basically meaning if you put in 3% of your paycheck, your company's gonna put in that same 3% in for you. You should sign up like yesterday. So an employer 401k match. If your employer offers a 401k with an employer match, start your 401k today up to that match percentage. So if they do offer 3%, that is all that you're going to do for now. Just that 3% so you can get that extra money. Why is it important to have a 401k, and why should you start it now instead of waiting like 10 years from now when you are making more money? So here's a scenario that I did calculate. So let's assume that you're contributing 3% of your annual paycheck and you get paid $40,000 a year. Let's say you never got a promotion, you never did anything different. You stayed in that job until you retire, which retirement is 65 years old. You did get an annual increase every year. Maybe you got a raise at the job and they give you about 3%. That's usually what employers do give for inflation. So let's say you started now, you're 25 years old, and you retire at 65. You have nothing saved so far, and you're expecting an annual rate of return of 7%, which I picked 7% because that's typical for long-term investments. You usually get about 7% a year. So you would have contributed over the course of 40 years, because you start at 25, you end at 65 when you retire. After 40 years, you would have contributed $93,196 to your 401k. Because you have the employer match, your employer matches 100% of that 3%. So they put in an additional $93,196. After 40 years in retirement, you will have $729,117 in your retirement account to live off of during retirement. You only contributed $93,196. Your employer gave you an extra $100,000 in the course of 40 years just because you were saving for yourself. With those two amounts combined, it comes out to $729,000 because of investments, because of compound interest. This amount here is more than the average American currently has at retirement. That's why people are working until they die, basically. And this does not include anything like Social Security, if that is something that is available to us when we retire. Without these funds, without saving that 3% of your paycheck, which is very minimal, you probably will not even notice that it's gone. Without that money, your only options are Social Security or working until you're dead. There's no other option. Social Security right now, the average Social Security, I would probably say is maybe like $1,200-$1,500 a month. 1 month. Can that cover your rents? Can that cover anything? What can you, if you had to live off of that amount of money, would you be able to survive? Most of us probably would not be able to. So it's really important for us to save for our retirement. Even though it seems like it's so far from now, saving for retirement is a priority you have to have for yourself. And I know a lot of people are like, well, what if I don't live to retire? What if I die sooner than retirement? Okay, understandable. But what if you don't? Who's going to take care of you? How are you going to live? How are you going to pay your bills? There's so many people out on the street, homeless. It's terrible. You have to protect yourself, and you have to set yourself up for when you are older so that your body can rest and you don't have to work until you're dead. So, an example of why you should start now versus, well, I'll start in 10 years after I'm making a little bit more money. Well, this is the consequence of waiting. So let's say you did wait. You waited 10 years, now you're 35. You're 35 years old. You're working at that same job with the same benefits, so you contribute your 3%, but you're getting paid $65,000 a year this time. You're going to continue to get your annual percentage of 3% every year until you retire. You don't have any 401k balance, and you're going to get the same average return of 7%. You would have contributed $95,000, and then of course your employer gave you that same $95,000, which you've contributed the same amount of money. So here $95,000, here $93,000. You've actually contributing more, but because you waited 10 years in retirement, you're only going to have $524,000. You've contributed the same amount of money, $2,000 extra actually. You're making more money, but you waited 10 years. You're out $200,000 because you waited 10 years. That is why it's so important to start investing as soon as you can, especially if your employer has a 401k match. Those are part of your benefits that you should be taking advantage of. It's not just how much you're making an hour or your annual salary or how many vacation days you have. This is part of your benefits package. Sign up for your 401k. If you don't know how, you can ask your manager, you can ask your HR department, you can ask someone. They should be able to help you with this. And once you have set up your 401k is just an account. It just holds the money. Once you sign up and the money goes into the account, you then have to pick your investments. But yes, moral of the story is sign up now. And I promise you will barely notice the money being gone, and your mind will learn how to live without that money. Okay. So now that we've completed our first step, we opened our 401k with our employer to start getting some free money. We're going to create an emergency fund. So it is a fact that most Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency if it happened right now. I think this was an eye-opener for a lot of people during COVID. People were laid off, people lost their jobs left and right, and they just simply could not afford life. Some people say that $1,000 in a beginning emergency fund is enough, but I personally don't think that. I've had multiple emergencies happen to me. Example, I had to spend, I think my husband and I spent about almost 10 grand in medical bills for my daughter. She ended up in the hospital for 5 days in 2021. $10,000 right there, and we have insurance. At our old house, somebody caught our backyard fence on fire, and we had to put in a brick fence that was like $7,000. There's so many things that can happen that you have to be prepared for or help lessen the burden of what you're going to experience. So my suggestion, let's make that smaller. My suggestion is to save 3 months of expenses in a high yield savings account. Why 3 months? Because if you were to lose your job right now, it'd give you 3 months of cushion to be able to pay your bills, be able to buy food, be able to do the things that you need to get done in order to survive. It gives you 3 months to find another job. Having this emergency fund is so important, and I think about the last 10 years of my life, and I'm just like, I wasted so much money. I wish I had this information sooner. I wish I applied it sooner to my life, because emergencies happen, and if you don't have money saved for a rainy day, debt will come into place, and it can really change the course of your whole life. So emergency fund. So how do we know how much we need to have in our emergency fund? So in an emergency fund, we want to calculate the total of all bills. So this includes like rent, utilities, food, transportation, and minimum debt payments, because you have to be able to pay your bills without income. So once you add up, don't even put anything in there like Netflix or shopping for clothes or makeup. All of that, it doesn't matter when you've just lost your job. The things that matter are, can I pay my bills? Can I feed my family? Will I be able to put gas in my car to get to the next job interview? I live in Arizona, so I believe that a car is a necessity. It's way too hot to be out there on public transportation, especially if you have kids that have to go to school. I believe transportation is a necessity. So let's say all of these payments together, it comes out to $3,000. You will take that number and multiply it by 3, which gives 9,000. You will save in a savings account $9,000 until you have $9,000. That is your target goal, because once I have that 9,000, I know I will be fine for the next 3 months. Should I lose my job today, should something happen dramatic, I will be able to cover an emergency. So how long is it going to take me? Because that feels like a long time. I mean, right? $9,000, like how long is it going to take to save that much money? Well, let's think about it. If we start a savings plan today, and let's say we're gonna do $200 a month, it's gonna take you 45 months. If you divide that by 12, it's gonna take you almost 4 years. to save $9,000 by adding $200 a month for the next 4 years. That's how long it'll take. If you prioritize this and you try to cut back on expenses or be more mindful of your expenses, you can contribute more. But the goal is, all right, I gotta save $9,000. I'm gonna do it in 4 years, sorry. And that's how long it's gonna take me to do it. But once I've completed it, then it's done. Emergency fund is over, right? The first 3 months. So we finished we did our 401k match, and we got a 3-month emergency fund going. What do I do next? Next, we are going to pay off our high interest debt. So if you have any credit card debt or any other debt that you pay more than 8% on, you want to prioritize paying that ASAP. So some examples of that could be credit cards. Credit cards are notorious for having very, very high interest rates. Do you have a personal loan? Maybe you tried to consolidate debt at one point, and now with the personal loan, but that personal loan interest rate is higher than 8%. Or maybe you even have a car loan. A lot of car loans, especially now, their interest rates are really high. If your car loan is more than 8%, you have to prioritize paying all of these debts down. But how do I pay off my debts? I feel like I make my payments every month and my debt is not going anywhere. There's 2 options when it comes to paying off debt. One, you have the snowball, and this is when you pay the lowest to highest balances. So let's say you have 2 credit cards. One is for $500 that you owe. One is for $2,000 that you owe. This is a $25 minimum payment, and this is $100 minimum payment every month. With the snowball, you're going to prioritize to pay this off first because it's $500. It's the least amount of money that you owe. Once you pay this off, that $25 that you were using, you're then going to add it to this one. So now instead of paying $100 a month on this credit card, you can now afford to pay $125. And you would just continue that up until you're finished paying off your debts from the lowest balance to the highest balance. The other option is the avalanche method. What the avalanche method is, you pay your highest interest rate. Your highest interest rate first. So let's say you have a credit card, you have a personal loan, and you have a car. Credit card is 25%, personal loan is 12%, and your car is 15%. Because your credit card, because you're paying higher interest on your credit card, you're paying 25% interest, you're going to prioritize paying that off. Once you prioritize that, you look at your personal loan and look at your car. You're now paying 15% on the car, 12% on the personal loan. We're going to take the money that we use to pay off the credit card to pay off the car. Once the car is paid, we use both those payments to help pay down the personal loan until all the debt is eliminated. Either option is totally fine. If you like small victories and you like to see the snowball because you like to see the smaller debts just eliminating one at a time, that's great. Or if you want to tackle what's costing you the most, the avalanche would be another great option. You tackle the highest interest first to eliminate the amount of interest that you're paying to creditors until all of your credit is paid off. So those are 2 two different ways to do that. And so looking at the timeline, did a 401k match, we have a 3-month emergency, we paid off all of our debt. We no longer have any high interest debt. And why I said 8% is because if you have debt that is 8% or lower, instead of paying that debt off, that extra money that you have can be applied elsewhere that can make you more money. For example, you can contribute more to your 401k for investments. You can contribute more to a whole bunch of other factors, and we'll kind of go over them. But 8% is kind of like the borderline, because if you do something else with that money versus paying off your debt, you can make more money. So just keep that in mind. 8% is the number though. 7-8%, whatever you want to call it. But anything less than an 8% interest, you don't really want to prioritize paying off, because if we're disciplined with our money, we can make more money happen. Okay, so once you pay off all your high interest debt, you're going to create a fully funded emergency savings. So like our emergency fund, we're now going to double that number. So we said $9,000 was our goal for an emergency fund. We're going to double that, because a fully funded emergency savings is 6 to 12 months of expenses. I think 12 months is a little excessive. But I think 6 months is fine. It gives you 6 months to find another job in the event that something were to happen. It's also a large amount of cash to have in an account, but you want to do at least 6 months in a fully funded emergency savings in a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account, I kind of covered in another video, if you like to go and look at that. But it's basically just like a regular savings account, except you're working with an online bank who gives you more interest. And you can Google high yield savings accounts, and all these different places will pop up. Personally, I do have Capital One. They're paying about 4%. I think it's like 4.3 right now, because the rates keep increasing. But right now I'm getting paid 4% on just having my money sit in that account every month. But after you pay off your debt, you're gonna do 6 months, 6 to 12 months, whatever it is that you wish to do. And achieving this goal will happen so much quicker, because you no longer have to worry about paying debt, credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. You'll have so much more excess cash that you can probably reach that a lot faster than the 4 years it took you to do this one. Okay, so once we've completed all of these steps, the next one is to start looking at tax savings accounts. So what tax savings accounts are things like an HSA, like a health savings account, an IRA, which is a retirement account, different from a 401k, but similar process, or contributing to your traditional 401k with your employer. So I'm just going to give you an example here. So let's say you're making $40,000 a year, right? You make $40,000 a year. This is your taxable income. Without any deductions or any tax savings accounts, you're gonna pay taxes on $40,000. Now, everyone does get a standard deduction. I'm not single, so I haven't felt single in a really long time, but I think it's like $12,500. I don't know. This isn't just me guessing. So you automatically get a standard deduction of $12,500. I could be wrong, but just go with it off the back. So if you make $40,000, the government will automatically take $12,500 off of your taxable income. So you'll only owe taxes on $27,500. But you signed up for your company's 401k. If it's a regular traditional 401k, that is a tax savings account, and you're contributing 3%. That's $1,200 in 1 year. So let's see, how much did I say this was? 40 minus 12, 500, 27,500. Oops, sorry. So 27,500. This is what you owe taxes on. But you now owe, oh my God. You contributed $1,200 to your 401k in a whole year. So 27,500 minus 1,200. Your taxable income now goes down to 26,300. This money is in an account. It's going towards your future. It's going towards your retirement. This is your money. It belongs to you. But it's sitting in an account tax-free. When you retire, you will pay the taxes on that, but we'll make another video for that later. But this money, it goes to you. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't go to the government. It goes to you. That money is yours. It's sitting in your 401k. You just don't have to pay taxes on it right now. So then let's say next you sign up for an HSA account. Again, I'm single. I'm not single. I'm married. The limits for single, I think right now is like $3,200. So we're just going to say that. $3,200 a year. This now, 26,300 minus 32. This drops your taxable income to $23,100. So again, like your 401k, this HSA money is yours. It's sitting in an HSA account, and these funds you can use whenever you want for any medical need that you have. This could be for co-pays for the doctor. It could be for medicine. It could be for tampons. It could be for pads. It can be for whatever. And if you go to like pharmacy, like CVS or whatever, or even like Target, I think, if you go into the aisles, it'll tell you on the barcodes on the aisles, it'll tell you if it's HSA or FSA approved, basically meaning that you can use this money that you don't have to pay taxes on to pay for those things. So an HSA is a wonderful account to have. If your employer also offers that, I would definitely recommend you sign up for that come open enrollment, which is usually at the end of the year. So we'll just kind of keep it there. But you made $40,000 a year. You automatically get a $12,500 standard deduction, so you still have to pay taxes on $27,500. We signed up for a 401k, contributing 3%. So we lowered this taxable income down by $1,200. But we also signed up for an HSA, and we maxed it out at $3,200. So instead of having to owe taxes on $27,500, we only owe taxes on $23,100. Accounts like a 401k, HSA, they are tax savings accounts. So you avoid having to pay taxes. This one, in general, you don't have to pay taxes on this money, which is awesome. 401k, you'll pay taxes later, but right now you do get that tax benefit. So I hope that made sense, but these are the type of accounts that are available to you to save money on your taxable income. I would much rather owe taxes on $23,100 than $27,500. That's just me. But so yeah, that's what that is. So we did our 401k match. We did our first half of our emergency fund. We paid off all of our debt. we created a fully funded emergency, and we opened up an HSA to start saving on taxes and using those accounts to our advantage. So step number 6 is maxing out your contributions. So let's say year 1, you open an HSA and you only were able to fund $500. Try to max it out the next year, or try to increase it every year until you fully max it out. You want to take advantage of tax savings accounts so you pay less taxes to the government. So once you're able to max those out, including your 401k, and your 401k, that's a lot of money. I think you can, there's a limit to how much you can, I think, contribute to a 401k, but it's quite a bit. We're talking like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But if you can max it out, that's amazing. Congratulations, that's great. So let's say you weren't able to do all of those things. The next thing you want to look on are taxable brokerages. So taxable brokerages are investment accounts that are funded with money that has been taxed. So like you do receive income, which are called dividends, and they are taxed and gains are taxed. So let's talk about that a little bit. So a taxable brokerage is an investment account, but instead of like a 401k or an IRA where you can't touch the money until you're a certain age, you're at the age of retirement, a taxable brokerage, you can withdraw funds at any time. So you can open up a brokerage with literally any bank. If you have a bank account, call them and they'll say, yeah, we have a brokerage account, like these are your options. But the thing about taxable brokerages is you can only contribute money to those accounts with money that you've already been taxed on. So an example of that would be your salary. So your take-home pay is $1,000. You would have to use that $1,000 to fund your taxable brokerage. And then let's say you put $100 into it. You put $100 in, right? You'd say you buy an Apple stock for $100. Whenever Apple pays dividends, which technically is another form of income for you, you have to count those dividends as income on your taxes. Let's say you bought Apple at $100 in 2020, and then in 2023, the stock price is now $150. If you sell that share of Apple, you have gained $50. But this $50, it's taxable. So you'll receive a little notice at the end of the year from whatever brokerage you choose that says, hey, you made $50. You better make sure you claim that income on your taxes. So again, if you don't sell the money and you just let it sit there, you'll never have to pay taxes on the gains until you sell. But let's say you buy stocks all year long, you start receiving dividends. That dividends is also income. You will pay taxes on the dividends, regardless if you sell your stocks or not. You still have to pay taxes on the dividends. You'll receive another letter in the mail at tax time that says, hey, you made this amount of money in dividends, and make sure you report that to the IRS so that you pay taxes on it. So there are pros and cons of a taxable brokerage. which is why I say you shouldn't open them until step 7. You should do all of these things first before you get there. But again, people have different priorities, people have different plans. If you want to mix these up, by all means, go right ahead. So we did 1, we did 2, we did 3, we did 4, 5, 6, and 7. Number 8, and I think some people will probably disagree with me here a lot, is once you fully take care of yourself, you can then begin investing or savings for your kids. There's a lot of different options to choose from, but I know people have kids and they're like, oh my God, I want to save for my kids' college. I want to save for my kid, which is great. It's a great goal to have. However, if you're not taking care of yourself first and you're trying to take care of your child, guess what? In retirement, your child is going to start taking care of you because you don't have enough money to live and be retired. Your child, like many of us, can get a loan for their education. If they want to go to college and you didn't save up money for college, guess what? There's loans. Get a loan if you really want to go to college. You cannot get a loan for your retirement. It's facts. So take care of yourself first and then save for your child. But if you want to save for your child, there's a couple things that you can do. There is a 529 plan. Ooh. A 529 is a college investment account for your children. You can open up a 529 even if you don't even have a kid yet. You can add yourself as the beneficiary for this money, and then once your child's born, you can add them as a beneficiary. The great thing about this one is you could possibly receive a tax benefit from a 529 depending on where you live. I think that's state taxes. I'm not a tax professional. This is not financial advice. This is just what I know and I'm just sharing. So 529 account is an investment account. You contribute money to it monthly, and then your child can use it for college. You can use it for books, for dorm, for tuition, for whatever. As long as they're going to a college, I believe it even works for trade schools. I don't know. I'm not on this step yet. So this is just what I've been reading about. The downfall is if your child doesn't go to college, then they can't use these funds. But let's say you have 2 kids. Kid number 1 decides, no, I don't want to go to college. You can then change the beneficiary to kid number 2. Kid number 2 goes to college, then perfect, these funds are being used. If both kids don't want to go to college, you can wait until you have a grandchild. If you have a grandchild, you can make the grandchild the beneficiary. Beneficiary can change whenever. Whoever goes to college, you're going to send that kid to college using a 529. But let's say you have 1 kid, you never have a grandchild. What are we going to do with this money? There's a new rule coming out, I think, next year, where if the 529 is open for 15 years, you can then turn it into an IRA for the child. Don't quote me on it. Something along those lines. Do your own research. But that's like a huge thing that I was reading that people were talking about, is how they'll be able to use the 529 if no one decides to go to college. So I don't know. I'm not an expert in it. I'm just sharing what I know and what I've heard. Don't take this as legal. Don't take this as financial advice. This is just me trying to teach you. You can also open up an IRA for your kid, a custodial IRA for your child while they're a minor. However, the child does have to have income. You can only contribute to an IRA if the child has income. That could be babysitting. That could be, I don't know, selling something, a lemonade stand, I don't know, some sort of income where that they receive. If you have a business, you can also add your child to that. But there's different accounts that can happen. I'm honestly not that educated in these ones because I'm not at this step yet. I'm still trying to get through the other steps before I get here. But what I do have for my kids, I do have just regular savings accounts. And the money that I put in those accounts are their birthday monies. Whenever they receive money for their birthday, I give them a fraction of the amount that they receive to buy whatever they want, but the majority of it goes into a savings account. So when my kid is older and, you know, they want to buy maybe a car or something, I don't know how much money. I think my son has like almost $1,000 and he's been alive for 8 years. So I don't know how many more thousands we'll get by the time he turns 16. But yeah, I put their money right now into a savings account to hold for them until they're at an age where they really want something, or I don't know, I have to talk to my husband and see when we're going to give it to them, because right now they would blow it on, my son would blow it like on V-Bucks, and there goes all of that wonderful money that my family has contributed to their lives. So right now it is in a savings account, just a regular old savings account. But yeah, if you are at that step, you are more than welcome to do your own research and figure that part out. So we did everything that the world is telling us to do. So now, when are we ready for retirement? I have all these accounts. I have all this money going into these accounts. When can I stop working? Well, that varies on everyone. The rule of thumb is retirement can happen once you hit your FIRE number. Your FIRE number is your total annual expenses times 25. So if you need $100,000 a year to survive and live, you have to multiply that number by 25. And that means you have to have $2.5 million amongst all of your accounts to retire. That includes your 401k match, that includes emergency fund, that includes everything. 2.5 million. But let's say you only need 40,000, because that's what you've been making all these years, is about $40,000. I need $1 million to retire. $1 million, I'll survive. I will survive with $1 million for the rest of my life without losing, or without running out of money. And that is the wonderful thing about investing. I have $1 million. I pull 4%, which 4% is the magic number for that. I retire, I have $4 million. Every year I'm gonna pull 4% out. I can pull out $40,000 a year, every single year for the rest of my life, and I would never run out of money, because my investment accounts will just keep producing more money to replenish that $40,000. Investing is amazing. I'm so sad that it took me so long to figure it out. I honestly didn't really understand it until I went to college, which sucks because like I feel like everyone needs to know this. Why did I have to pay $50 million to go to college to learn this, when I don't know, it just pisses me off sometimes. But that's why I'm here, to show you how amazing it could be. And then lastly, step number 10 is living your best life. You can retire. You can take 4% of your retirement every single year for the rest of your life, and you'll never run out of money. So please save for future you. When you're old, you will thank yourself for doing it when you were young. I don't want to work until I'm 100. I don't even want to work now. So I'm doing the very best that I can to make sure that I have a nice retirement when I'm ready. Once I get through all of my steps, the plan is to retire early. I don't know if that will be achievable for me. I can only hope, and I'm trying to make it happen by sticking with my little budget and really understanding what my money is doing and how I'm going to make my money work for me. So, if you guys have any questions, or if I can maybe better explain something, I hope I made myself clear in the videos. But if there's anything else you need some clarification on, please let me know. I am trying my best to help. I think this is important information that everyone should know. And I just want us all to have access to the information that everyone else has. This should be taught to us at a young age, but unfortunately it just wasn't. But that'll stop with us. We'll make it happen for the next generation so that they understand money and they leverage money as a tool versus relying on money to just simply survive. So yeah, that concludes this video. Again, let me know if you have questions. Okay, bye.